Hello, and welcome back to the only live Monday through Friday lacrosse talk show on the planet. You are watching Daily Dive. It is Tuesday, February the 4th, 2025. I'm your host, Michael Carvelis in Guyton, Georgia. Producer Joe is somewhere behind the scenes in Banditland, New York. We are live on 12 on Sports via YouTube and Roku, and soon to be Fire TV as well. Subscribe to the 12 on Sports YouTube channel for other great shows and live sports. On today's awesome show, we're going to get into me overreacting to NLL fights. Are we only letting them happen on national television? Our guest today is the amazing and electric and excellent Teddy Jenner. And of course, Fresh Fits, the best dressed NLL players from week number 10. We want to first let you know this show is presented by tickets.12onsports.com. That's tickets.numbers12lettersozsports.com. Get your National Lacrosse League tickets for less by going to that website. And that website includes every sport and all your favorite artists' concerts, because we all love music. Not to mention other things. Tickets.12onsports.com. And Pat Gregoire commentated first. Of course, he's a big fan of myself. I'm kidding, he's a friend of Teddy Jenner, but you get it. Alrighty, we want to first get into this. I'm overreacting to NLL fights. Okay, hear me out. Every week on this show, every Tuesday, it's become quite a fun thing for me to just talk about something that crossed my mind that probably isn't real, but it sounds like good conversation just because it's the NLL and no one else will bring it up. So here I am. I am the truth teller / conspiracy theorist in this segment. I want to first say, as you'll notice on my TV screen back here, I've got the Brent Mitchell and Billy Hallstrauser fights. And to be fair, there was a couple of punches thrown, but nothing like we've seen. And also, Toronto Rock players are usually involved in these, which is actually getting kind of a fun little theme I've noticed this year. And we all know because, with Luka going to the Lakers in the NBA, with the Chiefs supposedly getting all the referee calls, I guess all sports are rigged now, and everything I've grown up loving is a lie. Which means, is it possible, with as little fights as we've seen this season, the NLL is telling the refs, hey, don't let them fight unless we're on linear TV in the U.S. Now, that does not apply to Canada. Because obviously TSN has been really good getting a bunch of games for the NLL. Obviously the NLL is getting money from that. We already know this. Spending money for that. We already know this. But in the U.S., when those games hit national television, it is interesting to think about, hey, maybe the referees are like, you know what? We're going to stop every fight, because I watch all the games and it feels like they've stopped every single one, unless we're on ESPNU or ESPN2. I don't know. It just feels that way. It's not gospel. It's not a report. It's just me saying, hey, if guys really are taking off gloves and they're ready to go, can we do something? Can we at least try to let somebody square up? I don't care if they seem to be, overmatched. And a referee in one of the comments was saying, we're taught to stop it when someone gains an advantage. I don't know about you guys, but tug of war in the Pro Bowl does not look like an advantage for anybody, in my opinion. That's just what I saw. And again, it's just an overreaction. But bless it, we're going to have fun. And Teddy Jenner says, no one likes a teacher's pet. Well, Teddy has been the teacher this year on the pitch, but we're going to get into that. But yeah, what are you guys' thoughts on the NLL fights? Is it weird that we haven't seen a lot unless some big game on TV is happening? Again, my American brain is thinking this little thought that crossed my brain. Probably not true, but it might be. All right. When we come back to this amazing show, we're going to talk up to Teddy Jenner of the OTCB podcast and ask him all things about the NLL and more. You're watching Daily Dive. Do not go anywhere. I know you won't.
Don't go anywhere. Daily Dive will be right back.
Need tickets to that next event? Well, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got them with soccer anywhere in the world. Tickets to any venue, any sport. Want to go to NCAA or NFL football matches? We've got them.
Yeah.
Baseball at every level. Every Power 5 matchup is available. Don't forget, costumes and paint are optional. What's that? You want to go to Broadway? We have those too. Want to jam out? Every concert, every artist. That's right, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got the tickets for less. 12ozsports.com/tickets. That's 12ouncesports.com/tickets.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money, and we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
America, get back on track with Dust Pods Performance Stabilizer. When applied to roadways, it kills dust and strengthens the integrity of the road. Easily applied by mixing with water. Dust Pods is the future in polymer stabilization. Call 1-833-DUST-PODS or visit dustpods.com today.
Daily Dive is back in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I hate to steal a brother's tagline here, but it's time to be excellent.
Hell
with
yeah.
Teddy Jenner.
Hell yeah.
How you doing, man?
Good, man. How the hell's going on? How are you?
I'm doing good. I noticed Pat hooked you up with a cool Bet Canada hat there.
Yeah, this is the Stay Cool Country Club. Big fan of the Cool Bet. Obviously, they sponsor our show with our box bets, and Pat is obviously a big deal over there. So sometimes there are some perks to the gig, Michael.
He's a pretty big deal. He's a country manager. I guess that means I don't know.
Yeah, he's the regional manager for like all of Canada, which is pretty awesome.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
OTCB podcast. I got to ask you, as a Spotify fan, I've told people we were on Spotify Daily Dive, but OTCB podcast is also on Spotify.
Yeah.
Where is the Thomas Kaiser episode?
This is kind of funny. So it has just come to our attention that the intro music that I've been using for over a decade, was actually licensed. So starting this week, we will have a brand new theme song. I don't know. I think Spotify is just going to start taking down everything. So we have a good backup of all of our shows on my computers and on different databases. But yeah, we might have a bit of a turnover on our shows, thanks to Spotify. So I love it. It's accessible everywhere. But yeah, it just sounds that seems like they finally caught on to me being a naughty boy. So we'll have a new theme song this week. I got to say, your guys' theme song, as I'm sitting here listening to it every day, just reminds me of Shoresy, the music from the TV show Shoresy that we have up here. It's just it's a good little catchy tune, and I'm a big fan of it. So what a tangent we just went on.
Yeah, and you were not expecting that, and I just was like, I was kind of confused and saddened, but to new eras, Teddy, and we're happy to be
Hell yeah,
here,
brother.
So. Alrighty. I gotta first ask you about this. Because I've been chirping you guys on Twitter a little bit with it. The NLL picks.
Yeah.
This past week I did go 4-3. You went 2-5. I forgot. Like Pat was like 3-4. Maybe I forgot.
Yeah.
I'm surprised other people actually did better than that because I was like mad about
Yeah,
that.
it was a tough week for everybody.
Yeah. So how have you? What is your record? I think I've got. I'm still down by like 1 or 2 games. How in the world have you gauged the NLL better than other people? It feels like this year.
I think this maybe other than this past weekend, most of the times, like my gut's just kind of been right. I don't go too deep into analytics and the deep numbers. I just kind of gauge myself from a team versus team perspective and how they match up and coaches' abilities to in-game management and the ability for teams to kind of evolve as games go on. So, yeah, Pat, nice brag. But again, no one likes to teach his pet. But it's kind of been not easy, but it's been easier this year than in years past, just because I think in most games there's kind of for me, there's a general better team. And that's mostly who I'm going. Sometimes I'll take a flyer. Sometimes I'll just flip a coin. But for the most part, it's been pretty easy kicking Pat's ass.
Clip it, as Jake Elliott says.
Yeah.
And no, it has been fun this year. Since you mentioned the best team aspect of it, I'm just gonna get to that first thing. I know bandits are the easy take here, but who's the best team not named the bandits? Because I'm thinking of like this. I was about to say swarm. That was terrible. I was thinking about the what are they called? The Rush.
Mm-hmm.
I think Vancouver's got a shot. Wings were sneaky good. I thought Roughnecks were going to be terrible. Who is your best team not named Buffalo?
The Toronto Rock.
Okay.
I think it's kind of obvious with the return of Tom Schreiber getting healthy with Challen Rogers, Latrell Harris. They're going to get Brad Cree. For a lot of the home games, you'll probably get Brad Cree because he can work a 24-hour at the fire hall, catch nap, go play the game like he did a few weeks ago against Ottawa.
Wow.
But they're healthy. That defense is playing a whole lot better in front of Nick Rose, which allows Nick Rose to be a better goaltender. He's still letting too many outside shots in over the shoulder for me. Sometimes when he steps out, he is, as he plays, very stoic, and guys are able to kind of pick around him at points. But this team is a different animal than they were at the start of the season. Their record wasn't who they showed they actually were. And now that they're healthy, I think a lot of teams are realizing that the Toronto Rock that we've seen the past 4 years is finally back. But, you mentioned Vancouver. For me, I think their offense needs to get a little better. I think they need to be a little more efficient. Nobody thought Calgary was going to be this good, but somehow they keep finding ways to win games. Cam McLeod's making the saves that he needs to make. So they're playing really well. I like Philadelphia, but again, their defense is a little susceptible to me. And then I think you said the Rush right off the hop, and maybe they might be the most surprising, especially the way Thomas Kaisak has played the past 2 weekends without Frank Chiliano. So knowing that they can rely on TK if Frankie gets tired down the stretch, and the way this offense is playing, I think Saskatchewan's definitely right up there. But for me, hands down, it's the Toronto Rock.
And I'm glad you mentioned the Rock, and it's probably correct. I mean, even if despite the record, it feels like to me I said yesterday they've won 4 straight, even though they've only run 3 straight on paper. And one of the reasons I said that was because the game you and Pat did was just. We're gonna get to the fun part in a minute, but I felt like when they got Challen Rogers back that game, it was like, oh my God, they're all of a sudden good again. What happened?
Well, even after their first 2 games, after that second game where they got blown out for the second straight weekend, they had some time off. They were able to kind of just talk about some things, and they allowed Josh Dawick to kind of evolve into this really proficient outside shooter. They were still trying to work through some injuries with Mark Matthews. The lefties kind of struggled, but the next 2 games, 3 games even, they were losing by 1-2 goals. Like they were in all those games. They probably could have won a lot of those games. They had a couple tough, crease calls right at the end to force overtimes and to win games. But this is a team that just kind of started to get their wheels out of the mud a little bit. And again, they started to get healthy. Then when Challen Rogers, he's so vital to that team, Mike, because he can do a little bit of everything. He is legitimately a 5-tool player. Power, short, face-offs, offense, defense. He can play it all. And when you get a guy like that, it's just a calming presence on the floor for everybody. And then you add in Tom Schreiber, and now he can really calm the offense down. There was one moment, and they kind of have a bit of it on when they had him mic'd up in the Calgary game. And I watched it from the broadcast booth. They were really unsettled offensively. And he got the ball. He just came on the floor. He got the ball, and he put his hands up, and he screamed, "Settle down, calm down." And it just allowed him to take a breath. And then they went out and scored on that shift. Like, they didn't have that in the first month and a bit. And so now that they have all those really definitive leadership pieces and guys that can just calm everybody down, it just brings that team to a whole nother level.
I agree with that. And as an emotional guy, I appreciate when people can like kind of take a step back sometimes.
Yeah.
Especially even as an athlete, I'm sure it's 10 times harder. For the Rock, since you mentioned Dowick, him and Bushi, what they've done without Schreiber and Rogers in the first place, to me, might have been the best thing for that team. And then we see Dowick goes off in the last game. But something in that Rock Bandits game a few weeks ago happened, and it has to be talked about. And I don't know if Pat just said, screw it, just go ahead, Teddy. But you saying, like, gash with a heavy right and another right felt like Joe Rogan to me before anyone said it. How did you, in that moment, know how to captivate that? What was going through you and Pat's heads?
Yeah, well, you never know, because you just don't know what's going to happen, right? When two guys step back, and it's legitimately, for lack of a better term, a street fight, because it's two guys on feet just throwing, right? Nobody's getting in between. And I did hear your little rant at the start of the show, and I do have some thoughts on that as well. But you just have to let it happen. And Pat is a seasoned professional as a color analyst. He knows that, for the bulk of the talking, it's going to be my voice, and I'm kind of doing everything. And then when there's a moment, he can get in. But you just call it like you see it. And that's the way I've always done it. And, I get emotional like you and so many other people. And I'm invested in this sport because I put so many miles of my life into this league and into this sport that, I get as excited as a fan would. And in that moment, it was like, holy crap, what a punch. Oh my God, what another punch. And yeah, it just kind of comes out of your mouth fluidly as you're in the moment.
How do you balance that as quickly as a broadcaster, former athlete, and super fan of the same sports? Like, how do you not go overboard? Because some guys can do that.
Yeah, no, I think it's respect for the players. It's respect for the league, because you don't want to make a mockery of it. You don't want to,
right?
And kudos to our producer, Peter Buchanan, who's in my ear, and he's like, let's not make this bigger than it is, right? Like let's keep it. Let's keep our minds focused on what's actually happened. Yes, it was an unbelievable punch and a wild scene, but Noseworthy's down the ground, knocked out, right? Like, let's pull the reins back a little bit. So that's always a bonus to have. But again, I think it's having respect for what's just happened for the game, and just, keeping it, within the lines of proper commentary.
I love it. And again, you guys did a great job. You and Pat both. You guys always do well.
Thank you.
Let's get to this now. We talked about the Bandits, and the Rock probably being the second best team.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk MVP now. I don't know if we're throwing goalies at the wall, because I feel like there's a few of them you could, like with Higgins and Vince, obviously. Who is your MVP? Is it a goalie right now through 8 or 9 games?
No, it's not. I think when you look at how the league is, I think Zach Higgins has been great, but he's, past few weeks, he's come back down to earth. As much as I don't like to agree with Mitch Belial very often, him saying that it's Tom Schreiber and what the Rock have done in the past few weeks, I think is a great representation of what he's meant to that team. And we always talk about it, most valuable player to a team. Mm-hmm. And And you could probably even throw Challen Rogers' name in that as well, because as soon as those two guys have come back and gotten healthy, this team has taken a complete 180-degree turn. And that, to me, is a true definition of what an MVP player is. And I remember there were some years, if Calgary would have been 1-15 by the time the year's done, you could say, tongue in cheek, that the MVP is Christian Del Bianco, just because, that's how much he has meant to that team. But that would never happen. But the fact that what Rogers and what Schreiber have done to bring this Rock team back to prominence and really turn their season around just exemplifies what they mean to their team. And that's what a true MVP is. Like, you could look at what Dane does, what Vino's done, all those other guys on that Buffalo team, Ian McKay just having an unbelievable season. Like, you could throw any of those guys' names in that conversation, but true value, it's either Schreiber or Rogers for me.
That's why Mitch Jones, me putting him on my leaderboard at all, was frustrating. Even abandons like putting Burner Smith. Is like, how do you do that knowing there's another Robin right there or Batman with them? It's crazy.
Yeah, and when you have a team like Buffalo, and this has been the argument the past 3 years, right? Is it Byrne? Is it Dane? Is it Vino? And people are putting both 2 of 3 guys on their lists every year, and I just never understand how you can have 2 guys that are the most valuable. One has to be more valuable than the other. As great as both of those or all 3 of those guys are, you can only pick one.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad problem to have for those teams.
No, of course not. Every team in the NLL would want that, but can't be that.
And I don't want to harp on the voters, but
no, and I like the pick of Mitch Jones. I think Patty might have had him this year or last year as our preseason MVP. The guy is incredibly valuable to that team. You can go around the league and find guys that bring the most value, and some guys are more outstanding than others. Like in Vancouver, is it Aiden Walsh or is it Owen Grant? Like who is it? Aiden Walsh is top 2, top 3 goaltender in the NLL at just 24 years old, 25 years old. And then you got Owen Grant, who's in his second season, and he's just blowing things out of the water. So, it all comes down to what you truly feel value means in that discussion. I
have a question because my brain went here.
Yeah,
and I was thinking, but the reason I put Jones eventually, right for me again, this like a couple weeks ago, is because he was scoring goals, and to me, I don't know how a former NLL player or person who's around the league way more than I am and you feel, but it feels like to me those hockey assists are kind of push guys over the top. This is not just a Jeff T thing.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
I feel like goals should matter way more, right?
Well, first of all, it's a lacrosse assist, Michael. We've had the secondary assist as long as hockey's had it, so let's get that out of your lexicon.
That's fair.
Yeah, and I agree with that. Like, you would have to take a true deep dive into a player's, stat line to see how many of assists are primary assists and how many assists are secondary assists. And you could weigh that. But, a lot of times that secondary assist is still, helping set up the offense to what you're trying to do. So it may not be the direct correlation to a goal, but if you throw that top skip from, if Schreiber throws it from the top down to Boucher on the crease and he one times it across to Smallsy, the initial pass, helped set up what they were doing. So, yes, goals will play a bigger factor, but, when you look at most, we're kind of leaning towards like most offensive player in assistance, you're just going to look for the guy who just had the most outstanding year across the board.
Good point. By the way, the tic-tac-toe assist I'm on board with, but then it gets to the point of how do you gauge which one is which? So I
get it, but it's just part of the process of how offenses work.
Fair point. All right, so let's do Albany now. Albany Firewolves, Teddy. What in your brain, in your mind, what is the biggest reason you've seen them fail?
Yeah, and I said this last week on the podcast. Unlike Toronto, they aren't getting healthy. No Jackson Nishimura, no Colton Watkinson, no John Wagner. Those 3 guys are massive in their back end, and we saw what taking key cogs out of a team can do to Toronto. The defense is different because more guys are getting in that aren't comfortable or haven't played as much in that system. Doug Jamieson isn't seeing as many shots as he would like because those 3 guys aren't dictating where offenses go as often as they were. Their offense is still putting up numbers, Their transition game has been lacking, and their defensive structure has been lacking, which leads to, unfortunately, again, like we talked about Toronto, they don't have that calming leadership presence. Now they truly are a really young team with those three veterans back there. So,
True.
you can look at a guy like Joe Nardella to be a rah, let's go kind of guy, but that's not really his role. He's got a specific defined role. So they don't have Colton or Jackson or Wags out there just to, pull that defense in for a timeout or a huddle and say, hey, let's figure it out. Let's communicate better. Let's be out on hands a little bit more, whatever it needs to be. So the biggest, and it's glaring, the reason Albany has struggled is because they don't have those three guys, and they're probably not going to have those three guys the rest of the year.
Oh, see, I'm a guy who I love Colton Watkinson a lot.
Oh, so do I.
Like, he's the one that sticks out for me the most, is the one that I'm thinking is missing the most.
But and Nishimura runs transition, Wags blocks shots, gets loose balls, picks up and runs in transition. It's a completely different team without those three guys.
Oh, for sure. So let's do this now. You have a game this weekend.
Yeah.
You are a West Coast guy. I know Pat's going to miss you wherever he's at.
Yeah, Pat will be on his couch, digging a hole into his couch, getting ready for the Super Bowl.
Digging a hole, that's good. The Calgary Roughnecks, the surprise Roughnecks, take their offense and Cam McLeod with Gil Abrams maybe against the Vancouver Warriors, who we mentioned, touched on a little bit before. Their offense can come and go at times. Mm-hmm. What do you expect? Can Calgary dictate this game and pull off the upset?
I know it's sort of past stats, and I said earlier I'm not a guy who looks at analytics, but I found this to be an absolute crazy stat. Since this Vancouver franchise has moved to the West Coast, so since they were the Albany Attack and moved to become the San Jose Stealth, to the Washington Stealth, the Vancouver Stealth, now the Vancouver Warriors, Calgary is 24-8 on the road.
Wow.
They've only lost 8 games against the Stealth / Warriors on the West Coast. I don't know what it has been with them. And I think one of the big reasons, honestly, is so many of those guys have BC ties. So they have tons of family and friends that come to those games. So they get, and this was, times where the Warriors were the Stealth in Vancouver and weren't really drawing well. And even in the first couple years in Rogers Arena, they weren't drawing well. So sometimes when Calgary would come to play, they would have a really heavy fan base because of so many guys bringing family and friends. And sometimes, they were a lot louder than the home fans. So it was like a bit of a home game for them. So I think that was just a crazy stat that I found. But I think this is going to be a fun little matchup. You have a very big, imposing Vancouver defense going against a Calgary offense that loves to move the ball, loves to move feet. So they're going to have to really figure out how to combat each other. And then you got 2 young goaltenders, and Aiden Walsh and Cam McLeod going toe-to-toe. 2 guys, that kind of not directly, but have some correlation to each other and in the positions that they're playing. So I'm looking forward to this one. I think the Kurt Milosky, Josh Sanderson ties are always cool. The Kurt Milosky versus Calgary ties are always going to be a storyline that we're going to talk about. So I'm very invested in this game, and I think a lot of people are going to be excited because I could see this being 14-13. I could see it being a 7-6 game. So, and that's just kind of the way the NLL's been. But, Vancouver's allowing just over 9 a game or just under 9 a game. Calgary's, scoring about 12 a game, so they can put up numbers. But I think for Vancouver, and this goes in line with their offense, if they're going to have success, they have to get their power play going. They're dead last in the National Lacrosse League, which just doesn't sit well with Kurt Milosky. So they have to get that going because Calgary is prone to taking some penalties. So if they can find a way to be successful on the power play and not give up shorthanded goals, which Calgary can score in bunches, then I think they'll be okay. But this is going to be an absolute dogfight. These 2 teams have never liked each other. And again, when you get that familiarity with 2 teams, it just leads to, it's like Toronto Buffalo for these 2 clubs. It's obviously not as storied in length and of history and in past, but there is no love lost between these 2 clubs.
I love the entire breakdown there. You mentioned Molosky hates the power play. I don't know if I hate it. I'm sure he does too.
Yeah.
I gotta touch on one more thing before I let you go here. You mentioned the BC connection.
Mm-hmm.
As a former player, because I've heard that said before about like, oh, their family's there. How much of more of an effort do you put into being great that night?
Yeah, there's obviously a little extra pep in your step because your boys are in the crowd watching, cheering you on and enjoying the moment. So, and you want to be able to kind of score a goal on the road and be able to see your fans in the stands and point up to them because, for a lot of these guys, those people don't get to go to their games. You look at, a guy like Curtis Dixon, he plays in Calgary, so only comes to Vancouver once a year. So for those people to come and see him, for him to have his wife and kid there, there's always a little extra juice on those nights because of the people that are in the stands.
I forget you're a good Victoria boy too. I just looked that up. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot.
Yeah, we'll be on the ferry Thursday morning. Ooh. Nice little hour and 35-minute ferry ride across the Strait of Juan de Fuca to the mainland. And we'll get together with our producers and go for some sushi Thursday night. And then big game Friday on TSN.
Who's on the call with you?
It'll be myself, Brad Challoner, Chantel Chand. The three of us have a really cool bond. We all went to the same radio school together. We're all hired at the same radio station by the same guy who's often our stats guy. So we have a pretty cool story arc, the three of us, and we can't wait to get to Calgary and get to Vancouver and call the game for everybody.
The chemistry is why it works. It makes sense to me now.
Yeah, there you go, bro.
Teddy, we appreciate you as always. I wish we could talk about this all day, but I do appreciate your time once again. You and Pat do a great job, and you and whoever you're broadcasting with always do a good job. Remain excellent, Teddy. I appreciate you, man.
I appreciate you guys. It was awesome to meet producer Joe in Buffalo a couple weeks ago. That was fun. So someday down the road, you and I got to share a pint, my friend. All the best. Stay safe down there in Georgia, and be excellent to each other, folks.
Absolutely. Teddy Jen, everybody, of the OTCB podcast, which is a work in progress on Spotify, but you knew that. There's other places to do that as well, by the way. I love Teddy. Always have. He's amazing. Hey, when we come back, though, Fresh Fits. Are you ready, kids? Aye, Captain. We'll be back to talk about the baddest daddies. Don't go anywhere. I know you won't.
Don't go anywhere. Daily Dive will be right back.
You need tickets to that next event? We've got them. That's right, tickets.12ozsports.com. Get you to any sporting event, concert, theater event that you can think of. And the promo code 12OZ or ROME gets you an additional discount. Don't feed the massive ticket corporate machine. Go to tickets.12ozsports.com and enjoy the show. America, get back on track with Dust Pods Performance Stabilizer. When applied to roadways, it kills dust and strengthens the integrity of the road. Easily applied by mixing with water. Dust Pods is the future in polymer stabilization. Call 1-833-DUST-PODS or visit dustpods.com today.
What up, everybody? It's producer Joe, the baddest daddy in producing history, here to tell you all about the baddest, daddiest merch store. Go to the link tree in the bios of either our IG or Twitter, and from there you can access merch for the only Monday through Friday live lacrosse talk show on the internet. I repeat, the only Monday through Friday live lacrosse talk show on the internet. We got hoodies for when your girl comes over and wants to cuddle. Just don't let her take it when she leaves. How about a baddest daddy cap for when you lie about how much you hate Mike in this show, but you're still here? We've got beanies so you can do that in the cold too. Guys, what's going to happen when all these moms see you dropping your kid off at practice in this thing? Want to sip like a daddy and feel like a baddie? Check out that mug. 6-time NLL champ Johnny T and savior of my Buffalo sports childhood knows what I'm talking about. Guys, I'm really going to need you to start buying shit because I'm getting sick of doing Instacart. But yeah, go check it out so you can start repping and supporting the brand. Producer Daddy out.
Daily Dive is back in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to Daily Dive. Reminder, when today's awesome show ends and you're getting your tickets to the next game, be sure to get your tickets at tickets.12onsports.com. That's tickets.numbers12letters OZsports.com. You will not regret seeing things live knowing you got your tickets for a great price. We are live here on Daily Dive and 12 on Sports, and in the comments section, we got some fun ones here. As we know, we saw the Pats and Teddy Convo earlier. MJG79 saying shots fired, which I did not say, but it did make the show, but here it is again. Kai the goalie saying yo, and then saying, my team is in the championship of the Swarm Box League this Sunday. The one championship game that matters to me on Sunday, as it should, by the way. I wish I was calling Swarm games one day. And then they said, Kai the goalie said, I'll be on the field on Friday pregame, and it's my birthday. Well, let's go. And best of wishes in your championship game. I wanted to go to that game this Friday. I can't, though. But darn it, I'm going to go on March 8th. I know that. And another one later on. So that's going to be fun. Let's get into this. We are way past 30 minutes, but blessed, who cares? It's time for Fresh Fits, the best dressed players in the NLL from week number 10. And I got to be honest, I'm going to need some help here. Vancouver Warriors player, I could not specify, but I do love the chain. You know, when you chain, does the chain hang low? Does it wobble to the floor? Does it? Okay. I like the chain. It was a good outfit. I just need to know who it is. And if you're a Warriors fan or can specify, let me know. That'd be awesome. Alrighty. Next up, Halifax Thunderbirds, Randy Stotts. Halifax didn't dress up much this week, but Randy Stotts is always dressing out with the camera. And so that's awesome. By the way, our Kai the goalie said they'll be playing at halftime on March 8th. Well, there you go. I will definitely have to tune into that. So that's Randy Stotts for Halifax winning it this week. For Ottawa Black Bears, this week's nominee towards the final bracket this year is Eric Fennell. Eric, I'll be honest, I was not familiar with your game. And by the way, that was Cody Jamieson. I knew that. I totally knew that. So Cody, again, Randy Stotts has the goatee. Cody Jamieson does not. Okay, Cody Jamieson is the one who I will say again is always dressing well with these suits. I swear I knew that and just confused the two. But yeah, Eric Fennell, I was not familiar with your game, sir. A red Ottawa Black Bears colored sweater, black suit jacket, it works for me. If it works for him too. Colorado's Damon Edwards coming in hot. And listen, I don't know if you guys can tell this. Those are a dark reddish, maroonish, brownish, that's a lot of colors, pants. And I like the touch on that. It wasn't super flashy. And again, if Will Malcolm wore a different suit every week, I might give it to him. But Damon Edwards, there you go, sir. I'm nitpicking these styles here, by the way. It's not a shot at Will Malcolm. I just thought I'd say that. Wow. Steve Priolo. Listen, Buffalo Bandits every single week make this so hard for me. As a person, again, who takes this way too seriously and really wants to be fair towards who's going to be nominated for the Fresh Fits bracket at the end of the season, the Bandits do such a good job. Nick Weiss looked great. Josh and Dane. Steve Priolo, though, the sunglasses and just the businessman look did it for me. The guy says, what is being older? I say older, Steve Priolo, just so I can get this correctly here, is actually 36. He just turned 36 this past month, which is cool. Yeah, Steve Priolo, making it look good. Kyle Jackson, this is not because he looks like me with glasses. That's not true. But it's because he looks like a guy who's going to college in San Diego. And it also looks like to me that if he goes like this, he automatically becomes Spider-Man or Superman. I don't know why. But Kyle Jackson has got that superhero look when they're undercover. I dig the glasses, man. I respect it. All right. Next up, goalie for the Swarm, Brett Dobson again. The Swarm once again only posted one player. But I'll give him credit. Brett Dobson with the Tucker Out Lymphoma Cup / Tucker Out Lymphoma Awareness Ribbon. With the chain, with the blue velvet suit. That was a good choice for the Georgia Swarm. I have to give them credit for that one. Okay. Folks, as a person, real quick, MJG79 says 47. And then Kyle Jackson is always on point. Kai the goalie says, bro looks late to pick up his latte at Starbucks. I think that was this one, Kyle Jackson. Anyways, I'll be honest. I've done this before, and I'm going to say it again. Coaches, to me, deserve... Maybe I can do like a coaches and broadcasters fresh fits one day and like add that element to it. But I will say this about Sean Williams. This deserved attention. I was seeing this on the broadcast of the Dogs in Swarm game, and I gotta be honest, folks, I was blown away by this outfit. And this guy obviously goes hard for the Tucker thing, as he should. It's his son. The pinstripe suits with the black vest and black shirts with the Tucker green badge, handkerchief, and or pocket, whatever that's called. Maybe it might be a handkerchief. It might be stupid right there. I don't know why I don't know that. And the Tucker out green tie, that was amazing to look at. And then, of course, this light thing they're doing looks amazing. But unfortunately, Sean Williams, because this is players only, is doing a it's going to be an honorable mention. But it looked awesome. And finally, Brandon Goodwin. He is the player who wins it for the Dogs this weekend. I think it was David Brock who said, what did he say? Which character was that? Which TV character was that? He wants his, he lended him his outfit. And I hate doing this on air, but I'm going to do it anyways because producer Joe's not here to yell at me backstage. That's so mean. So, David Brock says, Brendan Goodwin, nice of Mr. Rogers to lend you his outfit. So that's what he said on Instagram. Hey, this looks really good. A khaki kind of winter coat thing with the nice white worn sneakers. Connor Fields did that last week, by the way, with the worn out sneakers. It was actually a pretty good look. And the pretty tie. Yeah. So again, I think Sean Williams might have had the best fit of the week. But because he's not a player, Brandon Goodwin gets it for Las Vegas. All right, I'm way past my bedtime here. We hope you guys enjoyed today's show. Reminder to follow us on social media at Daily Dive LAX. And of course, down below on tickers, you'll also see I'm at Michael Carvelis, producer Joe. You can find his portfolio of graphics at Baddest Production Father on Instagram. And also, he'll repost memes and give hot takes on Twitter at daddy_produces. LG Lacrosse 49 is on is our Bigo, our social media manager, on Twitter and Instagram. We once again appreciate you for tuning in to today's awesome show. Reminder, you're the bread, you're the butter, you're the I'm starving right now. Yeah, it's me. I'm hungry right now. Sorry. But yeah, that's all I got for today with the bread and butter. It's making me hungry, saying bread and butter, actually. For every one of our guests who comes on the show, like Teddy Jenner today, like those before, and a big guest, which I will not announce yet, but is going to come on tomorrow, I believe. You will want to be prepared for that one. And of course, Adam, Pat, every Friday, etc. Thank you all for sharing your audience and platform with us, giving us validity and relevance. If you're watching the show, my Wi-Fi might be crapping its pants. I'm sorry. 4, Bigo, who's always tapping up on social media, we wish you good health and the best wishes after what happened to you yesterday. I'm your host, Mike. And of course, for Baddest Daddy in Producing History, Producer Joe, I'm your host, Mike. Good Lord, saying that was a horrible outro. But we'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place, One Sports. This has been what's left of Daily Dive. Have a great one, guys.
Thanks for watching Daily Dive. See you next time.